And good morning at 7:04 on this Monday, January 22nd. It's time to head to Studio B for Coleman and Company.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome here on a Monday morning as we start another week. We still have some snow on the ground, and, of course, no school today in Wilson County and Lebanon Special School District and others, I guess. But we are here, and we are glad to be on the air for Absolute Kubota, 1506 West Main in Lebanon. I have Clint Kelly on the phone this morning. Clint is in charge of the service department at Absolute Kubota. And Clint, good morning to you.
Good morning, Coleman.
Good to hear your voice. Glad to have you with us. And we just want to talk again about what all you'll find there at Absolute Kubota, 1506 West Main. You are the service department manager, not in sales, but you all are a great team that work together, and each does his part, and it's been a very successful venture for quite some time. So what's on your mind this morning?
Well, similar to last week, just want to mention that we're still doing our winter service promotion where you can come in and get a slew of discounts on some different things, depending on what your kind of flavor of the month is. If you want to do service, if you want to maintain your equipment on your own, you can go up to the parts counter and get 15% off service parts, so oil, filters, all that good stuff. And then if you would rather have the professionals here do it, you can come over and see me at the service counter, and we've got two different options there, either 20% off one of our two service packages, or we can do up to $150 off round-trip transport between those two service packages as well.
Well, I think you have two great packages there, and each is an encouragement for people to go ahead and get that service work done now while you're not as busy, while it probably doesn't take as long, although nobody cares so much right now if it does take a little bit longer because there's very little that's being done right now. But it's a great time to do it and a great encouragement here from you monetarily to get it done now.
Of course, it's nice being able to work it in when we can, because we're going to get a rush here. Probably we'll see how the weather works out, but probably the end of February, beginning of March, it'll be insane. And people saying I did my mower yesterday, and then it gets a whole lot more difficult. The other thing I wanted to mention too is, especially with the weather this past week, anybody that's got diesel fuel tanks on their truck, on their property, on a trailer, check those filters. We've got some fuel treatment here for diesel fuels that it helps keep the fuel from congealing. We had some issues with some customers calling in last week, and it was just because of the extremely cold temperatures. So if weather like that is on the horizon again, come in and see us. We've got some fuel treatment when the diesel fuel, or when the temperatures are getting down close to sub-zero, to keep your diesel equipment running well.
Well, that's good to know as well, and of course it's kind of been a rough week for everybody, and cold weather when it gets 0 or below, and I think we got as low as 6 or 7 below here in our area in some places. There can be damage done that maybe you're not even aware of till things thaw out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, indeed. And speaking of the weather as well, I know we had some modified hours last week due to the weather. We're going to be back to our normal 7 to 5 schedule every day this week.
Okay, and you are still closed right now on Saturdays, I believe.
Yes, sir.
But open Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. One thing, I'll bet you do get a lot of phone calls, and I would think that you encourage people to call if they have a question or maybe have a problem or think they have a problem, to call you, get some expert advice. You're very welcome, very receptive to phone calls, aren't you?
Absolutely. We love giving out tech support and help to the best we can. Sometimes it works out great and the customer's able to fix it. Sometimes it leads to a further call to set up an appointment to get it in here. But everyone here at Absolute Kubota, we are more than willing to help out and do what we can to get you up and running.
All right. Well, again, they have Kubota tractors, hay equipment, zero-turn mowers, RTVs, all of this at Absolute Kubota. There's Land Pride, there's Hustler, there's Exmark, Red Max trimmers and blowers. They have everything from weed eaters to hay balers. And Clint Kelly, who's with us this morning, is in the service department. And Clint, you can have the final word here. We've got about a minute here.
I just want to say thanks for everyone. I think we did as a community, I think we stuck out the temperatures pretty well. And as we mentioned before, we're here to just support everyone, keep their equipment up and running so everyone can do their best and have a good week.
All right. Well, you too, and we'll do it again next Monday. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Coleman.
All right. Clint Kelly, Service Department at Absolute Kubota, 1506 West Main in Lebanon. Their phone number is 615-449-6171, and their website is www.absolutekubota.com. We're about 10 minutes after the hour. Want to welcome Let me turn the phone off there. Welcome State Representative Clark Boyd, who's with us this morning, live in studio. Good morning.
Good morning, Coleman.
It is good to see you, and we're glad to have you with us again. And I know that the legislature pretty much shut down last week. I don't know how much legislative work you did, but even if you weren't working too hard, you probably had a lot of thoughts about what's going on and what's about to happen.
Yeah, we got the text message, I think, on Sunday night of last week that with some of the legislators driving such lengthy distances to get there that we were just going to shut down for a couple of days, and then it kept pushing forward, and eventually we were off for the entire week, as I think probably a lot of people were around Wilson County. Yeah. And so at my insurance office, we went remote. It's amazing to me now how it used to be if the power went out, you really couldn't do anything. But now, you can take your laptop with you and flip it on, plug an earpiece in, and it's like you're at the office. And so everybody worked from home this week, and I did work on some legislation back and forth with different stakeholders and legislative legal services and my assistant, and so we still functioned.
Yeah. Well, what's I guess it's regular back to the regular schedule today.
That's right. Yeah. So today I'm actually taking a group of legislators kind of on a field trip up to Gallatin early in the day to the Gallatin steam plant.
Oh.
And we had that planned for a few weeks now, and I told him, I said, we're still planning to do it. We've got a bus leaving the Cordell Hull building at 10:30 to take them up there, so that's going to be kind of interesting, and I think it's very relevant considering, the ice or the snow and the cold weather that we just went through.
Well, we had a situation, there's a lot of the side roads that still haven't had a snow plow on them, haven't been cleared. And, of course, the sun has melted some of it, but those roads are still somewhat treacherous, let's say. But the ones that have had attention, they're fine, really.
Yeah, the road that we live on, just this morning, I was looking out the window and I could see a two-wheel drive car that couldn't get up the hill. Yeah. And I saw it kind of spin around slowly, and then it went back home. But I have four-wheel drive, and so and I have grown accustomed over the years to driving in it. I mean, I don't get out unnecessarily, but I would say I've kind of figured out how to drive in ice.
Well, we are glad to have you live in studio this morning, but even a phone call is always fine too, if that's what we need to do. Okay, what you kind of pick up where you left off, but where will it be today?
Well,
and I take it'll be late this afternoon when you get started.
Yeah, I'll get down to the Capitol at 3. I actually have a meeting with the speaker at 3:00, and then we'll go into session at 5:00. Mm-hmm. And I did get notification that we're having a caucus meeting, so that'll either be before or after session, and then we'll get to rolling this week. And my committee is meeting tomorrow, and we've already got a bill on notice, and then we're going to have the Tennessee Economic Community Development Department come and give us a briefing on broadband expansion. There's about $800 million coming down from the federal government that's flowing through that they're going to disperse, and so it's for getting high-speed internet out to rural parts of Tennessee. So they're going to come and sort of testify and give us an update on how that's going to go. But a lot of committees aren't meeting this week because they weren't there last week. Mm-hmm.
Well, I understand even in Wilson County, there are some areas where broadband can help people.
Yeah, it's in Wilson County. I think in the rural areas, you've got the big players nationwide, the AT&T, Comcast, and Charter. But I would say to you that if you live in rural Wilson County, you're probably being served or going to be served by United, which is owned by Middle Tennessee Electric, or DTC, which is DeKalb Telephone Company. Mm-hmm. They're doing a great job of sometimes they get state dollars, sometimes they don't, but they're actually getting out there and serving people that really don't have internet at all. So I think if you're in Wilson County, those are probably the two that'll get you if you don't have it now.
Kind of be interesting to see how that plays out, but if it goes like I think they've talked about, there would almost be nobody that wouldn't have it available for them if they wanted.
That's the plan, and I think some of the confusion a couple of years ago, at least, it was that they were looking at FCC maps, and they would show. If someone, let's say you're out in Watertown somewhere, you've got a road that's 10 miles long, maybe a dead ends or something. Mm-hmm. If someone had it at the beginning of the road, they consider that area served. And so we sort of commissioned the state to do its own map and go out there and figure out who had it. And we have figured out who those or where those deserts are that don't have anything. And so I think we're going to get everybody served. That's the plan.
All right, well, that's good to hear. State Representative Clark Boyd is my guest this morning. We've got a lot more to talk about, but right now it's time for a break. This is Coleman and Company, FM 98.9.
And let's see what's happening on the roadways. Want to thank our friends at Absolute Kubota, where premium brands require premium parts and service. Contact Absolute Kubota's Elite Certified Service Department to schedule an appointment. They're located at 1506 West Main, 449-6171. Now at traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. It continues to run a little bit slower than normal on 24 westbound, just past 840, all from a truck fire we had earlier out there in Rutherford County. Again, that's still running slower than normal on 24 west, leaving Murfreesboro, Rutherford County, headed towards Nashville. Still dangerous out here on some of these back roads, side streets. Be very careful. Hey, Princess Hot Chicken is hiring at all 4 locations. Order online at princesshotchicken.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Hey, this is Dr. Derek Gregory, and I'm proud to announce to you the opening of our brand new dental practice, Gregory Dental Group, at 1746 West Main Street, just across the road from Sports Village. Come experience modern dentistry at its best. We're always welcoming new patients, and I truly look forward to taking the best care of all your dental needs. Come by or call us today.
That's Gregory Dental Group, 615-444-0322, or online at myLebanonTNDentist.com. Gregory Dental Group, compassion, knowledge, skill.
Coleman and Company, thanks for joining us. And thanks to State Representative Clark Boyd. He is with us live in studio this morning. And, the legislature has got really 1 week under its belt, you might say. And then last week it was just almost a standstill. So we'll pick it up again today at 5 o'clock. And you've got something here you want to discuss kind of in length this morning.
Well, I wanted to talk just a little bit. Coming through this last week, we did not experience any rolling blackouts, but we saw the largest peak demand ever in the history of the Tennessee Valley Authority. Now, me and my colleagues were on various Zoom calls during the week with TVAs. They kind of kept us up to speed. And what made this different than this storm of 2022, where we did have rolling blackouts, was at that time, there was some critical instrumentation that was housed outside of these generation plants, and they just weren't built for that cold of weather. And so you would literally have the capacity to produce electricity, but something electronic outside kind of froze up, so the whole plant shut down. Oh, wow. And that caused problems, and so they spent millions of dollars and got those better insulated, so we didn't have that problem this time. And then they were also, due to the sort of the size of the storm and the surrounding areas that maybe weren't affected, they were able to buy power off of the surrounding utility grids, which kept us afloat. But I mean, the peak was 34,526 megawatts, and so that's more than TVA can produce. So we were buying it off, and since last year they have put up some combined cycle natural gas plants, and I want to tell you a little bit about that. those, or let me tell you, traditionally, electricity is produced, and most people know this. You basically, you have to get something really hot, boil water, produce steam, and the steam turns a electromagnetic generator. And you can do that by burning coal, by burning natural gas. You can have water coming through a dam that turns a turbine. You can do whatever. What these do, these combined cycles, it's more like a jet engine. And so it compresses air, mixes it with the natural gas, and it turns a turbine just like on an airplane. Mm-hmm. And so the good thing about that is when you have peak demand and you need it really quickly, you can just fire it up and it goes. So that is where we've got an additional 750 megawatts of electrical capacity. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk a little bit about, I've mentioned this maybe last year, but I serve on the governor's nuclear advisory task force. And so, Coleman, we are on the cusp of a nuclear renaissance in this country. And so nuclear kind of became unpopular. There's kind of old nuclear and there's new nuclear. The old nuclear that most people are familiar with, nobody wants it in their backyard. I mean, it can be dangerous. You have the capacity of a meltdown. Mm-hmm. You have to store the uranium once it's been used, those rods somewhere. Nobody wants them stored around them. And so the other thing is once you get them up and running, you really can't turn them off for obvious reasons. Once you get that thing producing electricity, they're very resilient, but you kind of have to leave them on for about 6 months. And so there's one being built in Georgia that's been in the process for a while, but for the most part, they kind of became unpopular and nobody wanted them anymore. But this new nuclear, and it's called new nuclear, is a lot different. They're small modular nuclear reactors, and there's not been one built yet in the United States, but there's a permit that TVA has up in Oak Ridge to build one. And this is not your granddaddy's nuclear. This stuff is totally different. They're not boiling water, and the uranium are these little tiny kernels that are encapsulated in carbon and in graphite. And so although they're probably to a certain extent still radioactive, not nearly like what you would have seen otherwise. And then they, rather than boiling water and producing steam, they're used to heat a gas like helium that then runs through a turbine, and then it's cooled and it comes back around and it's reused again. So it's sort of self-containing. But the technology is there. It's very similar to what's been used in the Navy on submarines and ships to propel them. And so when these things come online, I mean, they've even got some that are you would call micro reactors, where it would be the size of a semi-truck that you could go out and power something. But these things have a tremendous capacity and opportunity, and I think you're going to see that. The other thing that happened recently is fusion. So traditional nuclear is fission, where you split an atom, you get a reaction, you get your heat that you need to produce steam. The fusion is the combining of two different elements together, and what makes it unique is there's no nuclear waste whatsoever. The byproduct is not radioactive at all. And now it's not been used before, so this is all kind of conceptual, but they've been working on this for decades, and for the first time in 2023, they did a reaction where there was more energy released than was put into it. And so if you put in, traditionally, if you put in 50 plus 50 equals 100, but say 40 of it is used in actually the process, you only get 60 out of it. Well, if you put in 50, you put in another 50, and all of a sudden you get 125 instead of 100. That's a game changer. And so fusion has a really bright future as well. And I was on a conference call this last week with several different folks that are bringing companies. And I think people are seeing Tennessee, because we're so business friendly, because we have the Oak Ridge National Laboratory, and the governor has made it a priority that we're going to make sure that we are a nuclear friendly state. They're wanting to come here to set up shop to advance these technologies. And so, but they're working on some nuclear fusion technology and have a plan to be using it by the end of the decade.
A couple of questions on that. Number one, how far away are we from this being a reality? You have any idea?
Well, the problem is everybody needs somebody to make the first one, and it's going to be a huge capital investment. I mean, billions of dollars to make the first
that was
one.
my other question.
Then they're going to get cheaper. Yeah. They're going to get a lot cheaper. And I can't. And let me always have to tell people this because nobody knows anything about nuclear. So if you know anything, people think you're an expert on it. I'm not an expert, guys. My degree is in education, and I'm an insurance agent. I just happen to chair the committee, and I've been privy to a lot of briefings, and I went to the Legislative Energy Horizon Institute, and then I'm on this committee that gets to learn about nuclear.
You've still explained this pretty well, though.
Well, I kind of break it down into layman's terms, and so it's expensive. Somebody's going to have to do this for the first time, and I don't want to speak on behalf of TVA, but I think the concern they're having right now is if the whole world or the whole United States would like for them to build it first, because although they are a privately owned utility, they're kind of quasi-government as well, and it's hard to explain that to people, but they're kind of government, kind of private. But if they develop the first one, they would be more likely to share the technology with other people than, say, a major investor-owned company that it becomes proprietary and they don't want their competition to have it. And so TVA, I think what their dilemma right now is do we build this and then just lay it on the backs of Tennesseans that, your rate's going to go up some, until we get this paid for? Or do we wait and let someone else do it and then it gets a little bit cheaper? And then the federal government, I'm sure, is considering putting some grants out there. Now, that's not anything we're doing at the state level, but I think at the federal level, you might see some grants that would sort of blunt the blow that's going to come from having to build the first one. But I would like to see TVA build the first one. I think I would be proud of that, and I think it's a big deal. But you ask when's it going to come online? I would say by the end of the decade.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say by 2030 you could see one, and then the next decade is going to be you're going to see them in a lot of places. And right now, the wheels have been put in motion to take a lot of these coal-fired power plants offline. Now, whether I agree with it or you agree with it, it doesn't matter. We don't get to make that decision. That is the TVA and those directors are appointed by the president, and they'll make those determinations. But a lot of coal-fired power plants are coming offline. Some of them are being retrofitted to become natural gas, but some of them are just being left vacant. But I do think, if you think about all the power lines and everything that come from that site, that would be a good place to go set down a small modular reactor if they were being built in a factory somewhere, and you could go plop them down out there and then just run that power to the same people that you were serving with coal. I think that would work. But the challenge right now is we are, with so many people pouring into this area, with all of these battery cars that are being sold, and then the fact that when people build homes now, it's cheaper to put in a heat pump. You probably get some sort of rebate from the federal government for putting one in, so people aren't putting in gas heat anymore. Mm-hmm. Now, listen, anybody right now, and when they get their next electric bill, this last week will be a testimony as to how efficient a heat pump it is when it gets below, 35 degrees. But, at our house, we have one end of the house has natural gas, the other is a heat pump, and then the kids have something upstairs, but all that heat rises, so we don't worry as much about what it runs up there. But I mean, you pretty much have to run emergency heat, and that meter is spinning like when Clark Griswold plugged in his lights on Christmas Vacation. I mean, there's nothing energy efficient about that. And so I've said that to say that you're seeing less and less natural gas used to heat homes, and that is an additional burden on the grid. Whether we like it or not, those people need electricity. And TVA's capacity is about their peak capacity is about 34,000 megawatts. And we just exceeded that this last week, and we did it again over the weekend. And so, we came close over the weekend, but so we've got to get some more generating capacity in the state.
Well, I'm glad you took time to explain all that. I'm very interested to listen to you here, and it sounds like maybe a solution is there. It's going to be expensive and it's going to take a while. But
and the other thing is, and I mentioned this a little bit last week, but TVA recognizes this now, where traditionally nobody wants anybody else making electricity. They want to make it all themselves. Well, TVA is actually telling the co-ops and the munis, hey, if you want to generate some of your own, that would be fine with us. And I think you're about to see a lot of the co-ops come together and generate some of their own with the blessing and the sanctioning of TVA. I'm still would probably go back to TVA and then be sold out where it needed to be sold. But I got to do a shout out too for Middle Tennessee Electric. We live in the largest co-op in the country. Literally, I don't know if you realize that, and they do a great job from the CEO, from the president, all the way the board members to the linemen that are out there working. We're really blessed to live in Middle Tennessee's footprint here in Wilson County, but I think you're going to see more generation from the co-ops, maybe from the munis, and the state might actually get involved as well. I can't, the governor would have to get on board with that, but I think that there's an appetite for that. I think he's recognizing.
All right. Thanks for being with us this morning. We're actually out of time, but I hope you have a productive week, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thanks, Coleman.
All right, thank you so much. State Representative Clark Boyd, that's part one of Coleman and Company. We've got more, and we hope you'll keep it right here, FM 98.9.
And let's see what's happening on the roadways. It's all brought to you by our friends at Bates Ford. Get that regular oil change, $149.95. Oh, actually, the regular oil change is $39.95, up to 5 quarts oil, tax, and disposal. You can get a battery installed on most vehicles for $149.95. Bates Ford. They're located at 1780 Franklin Road. Now at traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. Still running a little bit slower than normal coming in from Murfreesboro, Rutherford County from a truck fire we had earlier on 24 westbound, just past 840. It's still a little bit slow. There's some flashing lights, or there were a few minutes ago, coming in from Wilson County to Mount Juliet area on I-40 West there around Stewart's Ferry Pike. Again, it was there a few minutes ago, slowing down that traffic. Again, coming in from Wilson County. Princess Hot Chicken, hiring in all 4 locations. Order online, princesshotchicken.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Exmark builds mowers that deliver a perfect cut in less time. Because we believe what you get out of your lawn, not your mower, is what matters most.
Find signature cut quality, comfort, and reliability. Exmark's Laser Z is the zero-turn more landscape pros trust. Find attractive financing and the Exmark that's right for you at Absolute Kubota, 1506 West Main in Lebanon.
Exmark, official mowers of the backyard life.
As we go through your Monday, the brutally cold temperatures not hanging around. Mostly sunny skies, high near 45. Overnight, 40% chance of showers, otherwise mostly cloudy, down to 32. This weather forecast is brought to you by Walker Auction of Realty, professional auction of real estate services. Get top dollar for your homeland or personal property. Log on to MikeWalkerAuctions.com. They know auctions. Let's look at your forecast. I'm Stormy Clausen.
Coleman and Company, welcome to part 2. And here on this Monday morning, the sun is shining, the snow is melting slowly, or it might not be right now, but it will be before long. The sun hits it a little bit. Away it goes. We are ready to talk about the Farm Bureau Expo Center. Gail Hellam is the Director of Marketing and Events, and I thought she would probably be calling in this morning. I don't know whether she has forgotten about us or not, but we will tell you that the Wilson County Fair has built a legacy, but is only one of approximately 160-plus events that's scheduled each year at the Farm Bureau Expo Center. The Expo is rapidly building a reputation for being one of the most friendly venues throughout Tennessee and across the country. And I passed by there on Saturday afternoon. They had some event going, and parking lot seemed to be nearly full. And it was that way when I came back 2 or 3 hours later. Gail, I think, does a great job directing things, and she has a wonderful team there. County Mayor Randall Hutto is with us this morning. Why don't you just, MJ is, okay, we go to the phone. All right, okay. Gail, are you there?
I am.
Well,
how are you this morning?
Good morning. Let me, since I mentioned Mayor Hutto, Mayor, you can say good morning.
Good morning, Coleman.
And Gail now is on the phone, so we'll let her do the commercial, okay? And
Yes, sir.
You're waiting in the wings to talk about tonight's meeting.
Yes, sir.
All right, Gail, how are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. Amazingly, through all of this weather, we had an incredible weekend at the expo.
Yeah. Well, somebody, I guess, had done a little work on the parking lot there, hadn't they?
They did, and we're very grateful for that. Always grateful for that. And then they came out and they helped with the sidewalks. And I think sum total, we had right around 3,500 to 4,000 people go through the expo since Friday.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, this is incredible. We really expected them to have lowered numbers, and that wasn't the case. They actually have an incredible show. So they're an annual show. It's Meat Authority Gymnastics. Had great support from the Lebanon Police Department, and so it's always great. It takes a team to make everything happen, and we really appreciate everybody's contribution to making the weekend a success.
All right, what you got this week?
This week is a busy week, and we are going to be busy cleaning and doing some much-needed maintenance on the building before the weekend. And hold on just a second. I'm just double-checking, making sure I have my facts straight. We are getting ready for upcoming boat and fishing shows. We're getting ready for an upcoming antique show. And, of course, the home show is coming up. We've got a dance show coming in, I believe, this weekend. And, I mean, like I said, once we hit January, you get that lull for about 2 weeks in December. And then once you hit January, it just all starts over again. So most of these events coming in January are our annual events. And our media company that we work with, they're doing a great job keeping Facebook updated with postings on upcoming events. And the boat and fishing show promises to be a huge show. As well as we just had a very successful RV show.
Yeah, well, there's just something happening nearly all the time, and that's the way you want it, as much as you're able, of course, to take care of it. But you do have a great staff, and I know you applaud them, you brag on them every time you get a chance, but you really got a good team of people there who get the job done.
We do. And, a lot of people are very shocked to realize that we only have 6 people in the building. So most people seem to think we have much bigger staff, and we do not. So we have 6 people, and the 6 people collaboratively make everything happen. And, of course, Quentin takes care of the grounds and makes sure that our parking lot gets scraped and that our sidewalks get cleaned. And so that's another dynamic in the team. And LPD helps us with the streets when we have big crowds, and the sheriff's department helps us on the ground. So, together we make it happen. But this weekend, we've got the dance team coming in. They're an annual event. They've been with us, I think, since the beginning of the building being open. And then right behind that's the boat and fishing show. So people should make plans, come out and see us. Hopefully we don't have another Arctic blast. I could do without that for a while.
Couldn't we all? Well, Gail, thanks so much for being with us today, and just keep on keeping on as Director of Marketing and Events, and we applaud your efforts, and thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Coleman. You have a great day. Stay warm.
See you next Monday. All right.
All right, bye-bye.
Gail Hellam, Director of Marketing and Events for the Farm Bureau Expo Center, and we're now 22 and a half before the hour, and I've already introduced him, but one more time, here's County Mayor Randall Hutto. Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing well. It's nice to see you, and really, there's some side roads that are treacherous. I mean, we got to admit that, but a lot of the main roads are okay, and those that have had some snowplow attention, or however you want to say, those been scraped or whatever, are in pretty good shape. Charleston Ferry is okay now. It wasn't last week. But there are some side roads, and if I were director of schools, there's no way I'd have a bus out on it. Not today, anyway. We'll see about tomorrow.
Mother Nature may help us with some rain, and that will get maybe hopefully schools back in session. But I would like to take this time to thank Mr. Steve Murphy and all of his crew for the work that they've done through this snow. And many people really, it's an education really. Most people look at the front of their yard and see a road that's snow covered and think, well, where's the road commission at? Why are they not here? And then I think an explanation would be for that we have 865 miles of road one way. Mm-hmm. So when you talk about going down both sides, both ways, that's over 1,700 miles. So normally, Mother Nature takes care of it before we can get to all of it. But the Road Commission will start with the major arteries that connect to the state routes and then work their way back. And depending on whether we have another blast or not, they may work on them, and then we have another hit, that will put them right back to zero.
Kind of start over.
It does. Yeah. And of course, the salt's great, and the brime's good. All of that's great if the sun's out and makes it, helps it to activate. But if it's not out, then that don't help you none either. And we have this conversation, I think, with all people. They can't wait for it to get here, and then they can't wait for it to leave as far as the snow goes. But
one of the things, there's a whole lot of difference in a couple of inches of snow and 6 or 7 inches of snow.
And the temperature staying as low as it stayed is another issue.
Exactly.
And, state routes are another thing I think that sometimes people maybe would help if they had an explanation on. They'll leave a county like Smith County or DeKalb or Trialsville, and they'll look and say, well, those state roads over there are in great shape. What's wrong? Y'all made the people at the state mad? And we tell them, no, that's not the case. Most of the time in those counties, there's only 1 or 2 state roads. When you look at Wilson County and you think of all the state roads that we've got, starting with 141, 171, 231, Trialsville, Ferry, Mount Jewett Road, Central Pike, not to say the big roads that take a lot of their time, which is I-40, 840, and 109. So when we have more state roads than most people do, and so therefore they send the same crew out here. It just takes them a little bit longer, and so that's another issue that a lot of times gets brought up at this particular time. But I'm thankful for those people that are working every day, and that's not an easy job scraping those roads either. It's a dangerous job in lots of areas. So thanks to them. Sheriff's Department in Wema, though they keep going no matter what.
Right.
I know somebody had said something about the post office folks this time, makes it tough on them getting around too. But the sheriff's office in Wema, they don't have any options. They have to get out and go. And so we're thankful for them and what they do to make this time a little bit easier and safer and take care of those people that kind of get in harm's way. And I tell you, another issue that gets brought up right now is trash.
Yeah.
City of Lebanon, has sometimes their trucks won't run. Very understandable, and because we'll have the same problem at the landfill and same problem at the convenience centers. So therefore, their citizens will bring trash to the convenience centers. Rightfully so. That is their convenience center too. So that gives us a little bit more trash there. The problem that we run into there, 2 things really. When the temperature gets to a certain degree, the hydraulics on those compactors don't work. No matter what you want to do, they won't compact. But the biggest problem is when Smith County shuts their landfill down, we have nowhere to carry the boxes to. And so a lot of times people will pull up and think, well, they've just taken off today. It's too cold for them. And that's not really the case. When the boxes are full and we can't dump at Smith County, there's no way for it to open. And, I noticed Cindy Lynch and her group, they do a great job of maintaining those centers and getting the grounds to where people can travel in and travel out, because there's little hills there too, so you really got to take care of that as far as safety goes. But I noticed where some people had just dumped a lot of trash right outside the fence, and
that's a no-no.
And it's tough, and we understand people that they want to get rid of their trash, but that is the dilemma that we run up against if we had a place to carry our trash to. And they shut down for the same reasons that we do. The hills are slick. You can't get up and down the hills at Smith County or whatever. And so, lots of issues that get brought up when it comes snow time.
Well, I assume I'm thinking you're going to have a county commission meeting tonight.
We will have a county commission meeting tonight.
No reason really not to have that.
And I will cover this ground too, I guess, while we're at it. You closing the office a lot of times is always an issue. Sometimes the cities are a little bit different than we are in that, normally they have maybe one area to take care of as far as getting their grounds open for people to come in and, pay their water bill or their gas bill. The courthouse is a little bit different because we have the Criminal Justice Center, we have the jail, we have the DA's office, we have the library, we have the archives. Of course, all the stuff that we talked about out there that Quentin takes care of at the Ag Center. But then we have the courthouse, election commission, health department, veterans business. So a lot of grounds to take care of. And as where cities have public works, a team, I have Robert Bain and his crew, which is a smaller crew, again, along with Quentin and them, that really give us a tremendous amount of help. But so it's a little tougher for us to get open. And then sometimes we may stay open. It's always importance of the safety of the people coming in and out of there and the safety of our employees too. But I have to weigh that sometime against when the judges have all the court scheduled and they want to make sure that we're open and going. And so that causes a little bit of conflict because my employees sometimes think, well, he just don't really care about us. And I really do. I don't want to see them have any issues either. But at the same time, I have the judges pushing to say, we've got court schedule, we need to get here. We're a business and we're not a school system. And so I got that preached to me when I first got there about that issue. And I take it as the best that I can, and we try to cover both grounds. But, to make sure that the whole county is clean to where every employee doesn't have to face any eyes coming in is almost impossible, at this time of the year. So we have something in place to where they could take a vacation day if they can't get in, but I understand my call on that would be the same. Why would I want to take a vacation day for this day? So that is a tough call, and it's tough. I appreciate our employees that did weather the storm to get out and get to the office and do what they had to do, and apologize for those that I wasn't able to, call it off more as well. But it is a challenge, Coleman.
All right, we need to take a break, but will the courthouse be open today?
It is open today.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, and of course, we already said there'll be a county commission meeting tonight. We'll talk about that after we go to our break. County Mayor Randall Hutto is here on Coleman and Company, FM 98.9.
And let's see what's happening on the roadways. Thanks to Absolute Kubota. Premium brands require premium parts and service. Contact Absolute Kubota's Elite Certified Service Department to schedule an appointment. 615-449-6171. Now at traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. It was a little bit busy there a few minutes ago on 40 westbound, passing Stewart's Ferry Pike on some flashing lights. Hopefully that'll start to recover. It is looking a little bit better on 24 westbound, leaving Murfreesboro, Rutherford County, headed towards Nashville, where we've had some problems already out there around 840 as it starts to pick up. Coming up from the south on 65 northbound up through Williamson County, headed into Franklin through Brentwood as well. 24/7 reliable crane and rigging services right here in Middle Tennessee. It's Tomahawk Crane and Rigging, online at tomahawkcrane.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
1.5 seconds left, no timeouts. Here's your season. Negron gives it to Bird. Bird for the win. It's gone! He got it! College Hoops is back, and so is Cumberland University on the radio. Join me, John Boyce, in the booth for every Mid-South Conference game this regular and postseason for both men's and women's Phoenix basketball. Conference games are every Thursday starting at 5:30 and every Saturday starting at 1 o'clock. Phoenix basketball is right here on 98.9. Cumberland's a winner.
And we continue here on this Monday morning. County Mayor Randall Hutto. It's always nice to have you with us. You cover a lot of territory every time you come, and we learn a lot from your visits. A lot of responsibility on the shoulders of the county mayor. It's just you have just gone over a lot of different things that you have to think about when you make decisions. but you did ask for it.
Well, I did. But it's really not about me anyway. It's a lot of good people that we just talked about that brave the weather to get out there and work every day and take care of our citizens. And I'm very thankful to have a great team to be a part of. Yeah. And it is a good time. And it's kind of a sad time this year when we that first day we called off. I reached out to all the judges and because that's who I called first to find out if we need to, where they're at. They got a large docket, and Judge Bird informed us that she lost her husband, and so we want to think about Mr. Bobby Bird's family and all of them at this time. And it is the time of year that we kick up and get going again. And now you just talked with Gail a little bit about the expo, and we just finished up our third year study on the expo. I did one after the first 3 years, and then just completed the other one just recently. I have people in the office, Christy Willie and Sarah and Brooke help us kind of take care of that, and we go through that really. And the goal there has always been because there's a lot of controversy, if you remember, about whether we ought to have it or not. But it really has proven to be a good asset to the county, and so we go back and just kind of study, and we'll do kind of a breakdown of that. I'm going to actually present that, I'm hoping, to one of the Rotary clubs here pretty soon, study of that, and also how the state fair kind of affects us economically here in Wilson County. And so look forward to getting that study out to those people. But maybe one time I can come on and we can just talk about that here at your show if you'd like for me to do that.
Let's plan to do that.
Okay. Talking about what's coming up, of course, it's been a busy month as always. I won't go into everything that we did. I will say that Miss Mary Scruggs, we wish her well. She's been the animal control director for quite some time and has done a tremendous job there. She knows it's time. She says she knows when it's time for her to get out and enjoy life a little bit more. She loves camping and different things like that. So she's going to retire, and we appreciate her service there. And Steve Gatlin, we posted a job for a month and did interviewed about 7 or 8 people, I think, for that job. Had a committee, as we always kind of put together, but Steve Gatlin will take that position and start, and so that is a good thing. I will say something that kind of came up this week, and there's going to be a meeting tomorrow night around the Linwood area. A company come in called Hillwood that is looking at a large tract of land out there, about 1,500 acres. It's been there for quite some time, and if you remember, not too long ago, several years I guess, they had a PUD out there for development, kind of like Dale Webb, but they backed off, and so it's been there for quite some time. This company has come in and said, they came to us at the office there and said, hey, want to know kind of what our vision was for the Linwood Tucker's Crossroads area. We said, well, we don't really drive that. We let the people drive that, and I can tell you from my experience right now, they probably don't want anything out there, and that's kind of been our boat lately because we've had so much growth. But I said, the best thing for you to do is probably just reach out to them, and they have a contract on the property. They haven't bought the property; they just have a contract on it, and they kind of wanted to see what the people want. They actually build buildings kind of like Panatone did out at 840 at the Speedway. And that's what they want to do. But I think they want to hear from the people and find out, if that's something they're interested in, or do they want homes? What do they want? And so that meeting's on Tuesday night, and they're just out there listening, and so the people can drive that train. And the people say, hey, look, we don't really want this out here, then I think they'll walk, But really doesn't have anything to do with us. Some people, I think, when they put that together, and I didn't really know how to do it, I reached out to Terry Poston and his wife and said, hey, can you gather some people together so they could talk to somebody and find out? And so they had a meeting to talk about how they wanted to have the meeting. And so some people, I think, at that time thought, well, I've missed a meeting, or they've had a meeting behind closed doors and we don't know about it. But that's not the case. They're going to have a meeting Tuesday night, 6 o'clock out there at one of the churches, and allow all the people to come. And if you're listening and you have an interest in that, you can call our office and they can tell you exactly what what church it is out there on that one. I don't know that we'll have him there tonight, but Mr. Bender got a chance to honor him. He's 103 not too long ago, and we asked him to come to the night's meeting, but really a great gentleman, and was in World War II. He stood up to shake my hand. He still drives, and just a tremendous fellow. So hopefully he'll get a chance to be there tonight. Had a chance to go to the Bryan fellas, Tick and Tommy and John put on a funeral for Hurley. You remember Hurley that used to go, and it really was a neat thing to go to that, and they really paid him. Hurley Roscoe was his name, and just really did a good job of that, and I'm thankful for people like that, and that's what really makes our county special, I believe. We did get some things approved with the Ag Extension building. Lucas Holman there will widen that out over the next little bit. That got approved through Public Works and the County Commission. We did speak to the Youth Leadership Wilson Luncheon for some people that wanted to be mayors, so I enjoyed being a part of that. Governor Volunteer Stars Awards there is kind of finishing those up, and we're taking pictures on those now. And we did have a pretty good meeting in our office with the two other mayors and about the Music City Star, and we just finished a study on that about how to make it more productive in Wilson County, and then got a chance to go to the State Fair banquet Saturday night and see the awards there. And so we can't compete anymore, so we don't win any awards, but definitely had a large presence there. And David Hill won a pretty nice award down there as well. Yeah,
I'm really happy for David.
Yeah, he did. It was great. And Susan Shaw finished up the plan for the opioid money, that's coming in over the next 20 years, where they had a settlement there for distribution companies and pharmaceutical companies to pay back, and that's been given to the cities and the counties, and that money has to be spent in a particular area towards fighting the opioid crisis. And so she finished that up, and so that'll be going to the docket tonight for 3 programs that we're talking about for a pilot program. And I'll try to briefly, real quick, get through this agenda for tonight. Commissioner Hobbs will have the prayer and pledge for tonight. We will have a historic moment by Jerry McFarland tonight. There is a public rezoning hearing tonight on some property located at 8120 Highway 109 and 355-451 Woods Ferry Road. Mr. Larry Searcy will be added to the West Wilson Utility District Board tonight. There are an Industrial Development Board members being reappointed there, Mr. John Bryan, Mr. Lon Myers, Mr. Luke Winchester. The Board of Health, there'll be 6 members there presented, Dr. Chris McAteer, Dr. James Morse III, Mr. Brown Pirtle, Dr. Hardy Sarles, Dr. Teresa Larkins, and Miss Dr. Julie Mills will be a part of that. Resolutions tonight, they're just really in general, Coleman, to be honest with you. We have the one that I talked to you about as far as the pilot program for the opioid dollars. We have a system set up to where people will be able to apply during a particular amount of time, coming up this year, for a matter of fact, like from August to October. And then in November and December, we have a committee that's come together to approve those and go through those and see if they meet the matrix of what needs to be done to be able to spend that. And then it will go on to the Budget Committee for their approval and the County Commission for final approval. And then that group, which is a nonprofit, will have a year to spend those dollars. They'll spend their money and then ask for reimbursement for the dollars they spent, just verifying they've spent it on the right thing. If they don't spend it within that year, then it goes back in the pot and reallocated for the next year. So that piece is going before the County Commission meeting tonight. There are some appropriations being done from the general fund to the Stormwater Department, Juvenile Services, Judicial Commissioners. There are 2 line item transfers in the Building Inspectors and Zoning and Building Inspectors Department there, where they're splitting the budget up. Line item transfer in the Sheriff's Department, and then 3 in the Sheriff's Department there. And then they are some approval of some projects that were granted within the Tennessee Department of Education, and then the Board of Education has 2 budget amendments that are coming, and that will kind of wind us up tonight for the County Commission meeting.
Well, some things to consider, but it doesn't sound like a really lengthy agenda.
You always hope not, but you never know what might come up.
What's claimed most of your attention last week? Just the weather, just working around all that?
It's a bittersweet type time as far as you don't have a lot of people coming in, so you definitely can get some more work done in the office. But it is really answering the calls of, how about my road? What about my trash?
Yeah.
Can somebody help me do this? Are we going to be open or not? I need my tags or some property, or want to pay my taxes. So, yeah, that's it. And then, of course, with this, sometimes the call is pretty easy. Sometimes you can make it the night before, which is really good for the employees. I know the same thing when we was in the school system. We had to consider that because people have to figure out, where's daycare going to be if I've got to go to work, or if I'm not going to be at work. Or school's not going to be in session. So you want to let them know as quick as possible. But a lot of times you have to get up about 4 or 5 in the morning, and then I'll make those calls to the 911 office to find out, are you having a lot of wrecks reported? Sheriff's office will also help me out on that. WEMA will help me as well. Then I get in touch with Robert to find out, what does our parking lot look like? Can we get in and out? How you work in there? And so that's an early rise,
Yeah. And you know what? Average person probably doesn't think that much about what all you have to, decisions, what all you have to, information you have to gather to make a decision.
It's tough. I can remember one year back when I was in a school system, and it came pretty good rain here. It's on Valentine's Day, the best I remember. And the rain was so much it flooded a lot of the yards, especially in the city. So we had to call it off, and because the buses just couldn't get through. And I remember that day, midday, had a guy call me. He was on his way to Kroger, and of course, everything on the road looked pretty fine. He didn't see the water, but he was fussing. He said, I don't know why in the world y'all didn't go to school today. Of course, if you don't see that area right in front of you, then it don't make any sense to you. But there's a whole lot that goes into what they have to do.
You mentioned the historical moment or whatever you call that Commissioner Jerry McFarland does each time. He's got to talk about some cold weather we had somewhere or another tonight.
I think Commissioner Hatcher from the Department of Education asked, Department of Agriculture asked Saturday night at the banquet, when was the last cold snap that we had like this? And somebody brought back and said 93. He didn't remember it being in 93, but it goes back.
I remember 93.
So 93. So we had below zero digits at that time.
What I'm thinking about was February.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of the times I was late to work. I had an aunt that was in intensive care in Nashville, and I spent the night with her, and I didn't allow enough time to get here because the roads were slick, and it was cold. Mm-hmm. That was 93, I think that's right. It might have been 94. If we had just started this well, anyway, that we're about out of time. Mayor, thank you so much for all you do and for coming out here once a month. We appreciate you visiting.
Thanks for letting me be here.
All right. That's it for a Monday. I hope you'll join us tomorrow, and until then, I wish you a magnificent day.